What's up, everybody? This is Anthony James, host of the Grindhouse Sports Podcast. Just here for another week, another episode. Um, I just want to make sure I introduce our host, CEO, um, St. Louis's own,
Yes, sir.
Illinois star, Terrell Washington. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. I'm doing awesome, man. It's been a blessing, man, for real.
So, from the last time we met and talked and all that good stuff, everybody like, I want to know more about Terrell, which I didn't know why they wanted to know more about Terrell, but here we are. I mean, I guess Grindhouse Sports was what you do. So,
Correct.
the one thing that I want to talk about today, and we want to dig into, and I think it's going to help our listeners, going to help kids that's listening, all that good stuff, is I want to talk about the draft process.
Okay.
I want to talk about your process. I want to talk about how you see it now with training people for the draft and people going forward. And I said we'll talk about that. We'll talk about your trainers that you got right now and how they help get kids ready.
Yeah.
So I want to dig into the team.
Okay.
Before we get there, man, we're gonna get this warm up rep together, man. So what you been up to since the last time we met, man?
So last time we met, man, I've been busy, man, just working with kids and going to football games every week. 3 to 4 every week, man. Been every game from little league to junior high to high school, freshman to varsity games.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, man, I stay active in the community, man. I love what I do. So I'm going to be around and just kind of let the parents know when they ready to come out and work with me. I'm visible and they see me.
Okay. So with this warm up rep, because I like calling it we're definitely gonna call it from now on the warm up rep.
Okay.
We always got to have a warm up, and you got to stretch it out a little bit.
Yeah.
So, what's it like watching your kids that you train play compared to you getting ready to play a game? So I want you to think back, ancient time, leather helmets when you was playing, man. Let us know how does it feel when you see your kids out there performing on Friday? And I'm not even talking about just like the star kids.
Okay.
I'm talking about the kids that you see who are here grinding, who may only get a few plays, and they come in and make a key tackle and things like that. So let me know how does that feel watching your kids play compared to when you were playing?
Like, man, I swear to you, man, I love to see it because first off, it shows the development side of things that we always talk about. Like when you're looking at a young athlete and the things that they're learning throughout this process, you're like, okay, is he getting or she's getting what I'm coaching? So when you get the chance to sit in the stands or sit out, when they're playing on the field, it looks pretty great to me on my end because what I'm looking for is the details, the movements, the lateral movements, the quick feet, the hand placement on the ball, or if they're running the ball, if they're taking the right steps, or they reading the line right, cutting back, so those things that I look for is fulfilling because I'm watching them do it when they wasn't able to do it at first. So just checking it out and watching the kids, man, it's a great feeling just because they're not saying every kid's going to be successful at that point. It's just, it takes time, right? So we talk about development. So it takes time. Most people think it's going to be, 2 or 3 months or 4 months, but sometimes it takes longer than that for development. So it just, when I'm watching the athletes, man, it looks good, man. It looks good.
Who's that harder on? You think it's harder on the kids or you harder on the parents?
It's harder on the parents. So I would say because the parents have the more concern because they look at TV and they look at what they see or they look at the kid's peers and they think the kid's supposed to be there right where the other kid is located, what he's doing now or she's doing now. But it takes time to get a kid to that level. It's just based off how the kid kind of processes everything that you're teaching. And when the kid gets it, you can tell the confidence boosts up. They walking around with a different swag with themselves. And it's like, okay, well, Dad, Mom, I got this. They start pulling, like in the gym when we're working out and stuff, you see more kids taking the shirts off because they feel comfortable with their body. So it's an overall morale booster for all the athletes, when they put in the work and they know that it's time to go out there and play. So when I'm watching them, it's this great feeling. It's definitely a great feeling.
Okay. So all right, let's talk about your process though, because obviously, like I said, we went through your kids and we're seeing how good this make you feel. So I want to talk about the draft process, but I want to go back a year.
Okay.
I don't want to talk about just that last year, Illinois, the Sugar Bowl. All that. We're going to get to all that. We'll talk about that when we go into this process. But tell me about your junior year at the University of Illinois. Tell me about how you performed, and what was your thought process going into, should I enter the draft? Should I stay? What should I do?
Okay. Well, so my junior year, I want to say my sophomore year, I think I was second or first in sacks and tackle for loss. But then going into my junior year, buddy, it was like, okay, we were right there at the Cups. I remember we playing Ohio State. We were playing Ohio State in Champaign. And, man, they marched down the field, kicked the field goal, won the ball game, right? And right then and there, that messed up our bowl eligibility to go to a bowl game. So I think we went 6-5 or 6-6 that year, to a point where we wasn't eligible at the time to go to a bowl game. So at that moment, I'm like, shoot, I got to bust my tail. We can't go into maybe that was the year that I led the Big Ten in tackles for loss and sacks. It was either me and Wakefield. Fred Wakefield were the two guys that were, we were on the same team. He played across from me, and that was my roommate, when we went on the road and stuff. So yeah, man, that was my junior year. So when I went in the lab, I knew we was going to lose Fred coming into my senior year. So I was like, man, I'm going to take this stuff on another level. I'm going to start working my tail off. I'm going to start talking with Coach Z, trying to get myself together, lifting. I had my own private time to go to the gym. So I just went to the gym with me and Coach Z. We get some work in. He showed me some different things to be working on, so I can work on me, so that I can be ready for that next season.
Now let me get the PRT out the way. I want to talk about real Terrell from St. Louis. I don't want to talk about that. So why did you enter the draft if you led the league in sacks, tackle for loss? Because I know me. My money is made now. Yeah, I'm going. So what like, what made you say, what, I want to stay? And I'm gonna talk about. I want to know if you regret it.
Okay, cool. That's cool. So when you look at, like, you're the only person in your family that's in college, right? And the only person in your family that get the opportunity to go off to college and then graduate. And I knew I had another year of schooling to graduate from college. So, you make decisions in life that either if I go league, it's no guarantee. So I wanted to make sure that I fulfill my destiny for us. Like when I talk to my mom and I talk to my dad, I'm like, hey, I want to go pro, but I'm thinking about staying in college, and go ahead and graduate, because I know no one in my family, not just my internal family, but we're talking about extended grandma, grandpa, aunties, and uncles, have not did the things that I'm doing. So graduating from college was very important to me. So I wanted to fulfill that first before I went pro.
This is Terrell Washington, the co-host of the Grindhouse Sports Podcast. We are here to give a big shout out to our sponsor, Restore Hyper Wellness in Murphy, Texas. Check out their studio at 223 FM 544 Suite 806 Murphy, Texas. Thank you to Restore Hyper Wellness for supporting the grind.
Okay, I hear it, but you ain't answering my question.
Okay, so do I regret it? Do I regret it? Heck yeah, because once you do that, I didn't know that we can go back to college. So no one has actually had those conversations with me and saying, hey, you can go ahead and enter the draft, and then you have an opportunity to come back if things just don't go your way or things don't go the way you plan. You can always come back. But during that time, I didn't have anybody really just talking to me and educating me on, hey, you don't got to finish college. You can always come back. Go ahead and take this chance going to the pro. Mm-hmm. Because going into my senior year, I bust my butt in the weight room like we were talking about. I was doing all of this other stuff. And, we got new coaches that year, So when Coach them came in, it was like, okay, well, what do we do? What type of defense are we going to run? And, but then when I got to meet
they're talking football. They ain't talking about your future.
It's not about me though. It wasn't even about me as an individual, but me, I wanted to know these things as well going into the season. So,
but because I know they talk about the kids now. When they talk about NIL, they talk about the money that they're making. They talk about they think this is a whole me generation and not about the team. Mm-hmm. Do you wish that it was about you a little bit, that you thought about you instead of the team in that moment?
Yeah, heck yeah. I mean, because if I would have thought about me, then I would probably be in a way different situation, like financially, like cash flow. Like, I mean, if I go third round, that's back in the day, like $900K, or that's a signing bonus,
At the time too, because they made that investment.
Yes, they made that investment. So I'm going to get a lot more. They're going to invest in me. So they're going to give me at least 2 or 3 years to kind of, see where I develop to, where I become. So, yeah, I regret it because, I mean, it cost me millions to make that decision.
Yeah, and I think that's the part where I need to make sure people understand that you can have regrets and still overcome them.
Correct.
Because a lot of times I think people have regrets and they let that regret hinder their growth. And that proverbial what we stand for, that grind,
that grit,
they don't want to do that because you know what, I had my chance and I messed it up because I didn't just listen. I guess my last question on this before I move on to senior year is kind of like, if you had that mentor, if you had you during that time frame, what advice would you have given to yourself when it came to that? Regardless of how you feel, what advice would you have given?
The advice I gave to myself was, hey, go ahead and challenge yourself. Go ahead and enter the draft. Go ahead and see what it would be. See if you have a big opportunity. But one of the things I'm going to say, like when I wanted to win the Big Ten, I wanted to go to the Sugar Bowl. I wanted to go to, well, not a Sugar Bowl, but a higher level bowl game. So as I, was making, as I was making those decisions as an athlete, if I had to go back and say, hey, if I had me as a mentor, I would say, hey, go ahead and go for what you want, because the NFL was the overall goal for me, So I would have just told myself that, hey, go ahead and do this because you'll regret it in the end,
Side note, I always wanted to ask, like, y'all won the Big Ten, but y'all went to the Sugar Bowl. Why didn't you see y'all to the Rose Bowl?
It was messed up that year, bro. I'm telling you, the bowl committees messed that all up. Like, we played against, I think because we played against Michigan, we lost to Michigan at Michigan. And then Michigan ended up going to the Rose Bowl.
On the Big Ten, yeah. Went to the Rose Bowl. We gotta get our stats department.
Yeah, we gotta go pull that information up because there was something crazy going on. And I think we all was like, why are we not going to the Rose Bowl? So it was a big, all of the players, we were all confused about that too as well, because we did win the Big Ten that year. So yeah.
Yeah, that'll make sense. All right. So we get through here. We got the draft process. You're thinking about it. We go to the following season. We win the Big Ten. Went Sugar Bowl. Went out there and performed. Let's talk about the Sugar Bowl.
Okay, let's talk about Sugar Bowl, man.
We got to talk about the win of the Big Ten. We'll go back to that later on. What's the Sugar Bowl, man?
Man, that experience, man, was probably one of the greatest experiences I ever. I mean, the love, the city, how everything, the bowl, how they set everything up for the players. Just being able to play down in New Orleans and playing on that field that the Saints played on, man, it was a whole different feel for a young athlete who was from the inner city of St. Louis and kind of just hard to get out of that area. So playing in that bowl game and just experiencing, going down to the river, I want to say the Mississippi River. We went down there to check that out. They had like tours and things for us to do. Mm-hmm. Man, it was a great experience overall. Like, man, but the game, shoot, man, you play against LSU.
Yeah.
Rohan Davey, you know what I'm saying? Guys like that was, you talking about a quarterback that's 6'4", 280 or 260 pounds,
He was 280.
He was 280? Okay.
He was 260. He looked like me.
Man, I swear I hit him one time. I'm like, God, dog, this dude is big. Like, okay, how can I take this dude down? No, but overall, no, man, it was a great experience, man. When I'm just thinking back to that day, playing against them, and I'm looking at Royal, tight end, who played in the league. I'm looking at all the receivers who, Dominique Davis was a running back that we, ended up playing with in Houston. So it was like, just to see all those athletes playing, man, and we're all having fun, and we end up losing the ball game by a lot, but, you talking about 4 or 5 star athletes, man. They played on a high level. It's on my end, I balled. So, I knew, I was like, okay, I'm coming in the game that, chances are that they're going to out-athlete us, in the game. So my goal was to kind of just do what I do. And, I knew that was my last college game. So I'm like, man, sure, I'm going to do my best.
No, we're going to go back and talk about, you see I'm going back and forth. So one of your kids, now you didn't get a chance to play, but you got to see not only the Sugar Bowl experience, but the national championship game experience when you were able to go down there. Yeah. It's there. So tell me about seeing one of your kids, he's practicing, he's going through all that you're able to kind of see that next wave, that same thing. And so tell me about that experience to you as a trainer.
As a trainer,
I'm not even talking about.
So as a trainer, man, when you're looking at your kids getting the opportunity to experience some of the things that you experience, or even higher level, like national championship games, man, it's an awesome feeling. Like when you see this, and even though he didn't play, he's a freshman. I don't know a lot of freshmen that go in and actually play right now, unless you just this 5-star talent that, like the kid from Alabama, you know what I'm saying? Like 17-year-old guy playing ball, and it's like, dang, like, where did this kid come from? Like, that's just it's rare.
People don't know that you can prepare.
Yes.
You can train. You can have all that stuff go on, but you still got to have some luck.
Yeah, you got to have a lot of luck come with that, man. Like, this kid getting an opportunity to play. I think it was 2 freshmen played at Alabama this year. That's pure luck. Like, you don't. I mean, I'm not gonna diss their talent. I know they got talent. I know their talent. They're really, really good talent.
He tore his knee up in the spring.
Yeah.
I think they had another injury and some transfers. So
yeah,
you're gonna have some other things that happen in order to get people on the field.
Yeah.
So, but I'll let you go ahead and continue when you talk about.
Yeah, but when you're looking at a kid like that that's played for Washington, and he get opportunity to go to the national championship game and sitting in the stands and watching, that setup and looking at that trophy, like, man, potentially he may get an opportunity to get a national championship ring, But the cool thing about it is that the experience alone, that a lot of people can never say they experience that.
No. And I think a lot of kids, and I think we both have heard this, where like, oh, well, these kids didn't play or they weren't on the field and things like that. They don't understand the amount of work that these kids put in through the season, through spring, through the summer, practice, that scout team, I don't know if you've ever just been on the scout team.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that in the NFL when we talk about,
I was on the scout team in Illinois.
Yeah. So, like I said, we're going to talk about that. Talk about, being like what that does to prepare your team to get better.
Man, so let's go to JUCO, which is junior college. So let's talk about JUCO. So when I was at JUCO, when I was at Hutchinson Community College, one of the things I recognized to prep your team for, the game that's upcoming, right? Because they may not see a DN like you, or they may not see a running back like this that's on practice squad. I mean, not practice squad, but on that's being about to be redshirted. So you as an athlete, you got to go out there and you got to give it everything. Now, when the coach say, hey, you need to tone it down, don't hit, just be smart on what the coaches are telling you to do, but go out there and shine like a light, man. You want the coaches to acknowledge you so that when you get an opportunity, that opportunity does not limit it, because every year you're going to have guys coming into college. Every year you're going to have guys going out. So if you an athlete and you say, okay, I'm on practice squad, or I'm about to be redshirted, don't take that personal. Don't take it personal to a point where it limits you to play, right? It limits your ability at practice. Because I know all the boys that's part of this program, I tell them, when you're on practice squad, you go give them go dog them out. Let the coaches know the reason why, or make the coaches regret that you basically getting redshirted. And that's the mindset that you have to have when you are not playing.
So, like I said, I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. So we went to the NFL draft process, and you go undrafted.
Undrafted free agent.
Yeah. So tell me about the undrafted part. Tell me about the undrafted free agency part, and then what's the next step? What happens to you then? Where's your mindset? And just tell me what the next steps are for you.
Well, when I found out I was going to be undrafted, it was like, I want to say it was the second day of the draft. Houston had gave me a call and said, we're going to pick you up, but we're not going to draft you. And, as a kid, you like, shoot, man, I want to play in the NFL, but you're not looking at, where you go in the draft. I mean, did that matter? Cash flow wise, did that matter? Yeah, it mattered cash flow wise. But as far as getting an opportunity to go to the NFL, man, who can say that? There's not a lot of guys that can sit there and say, I played for the Houston Texans. Even though I wasn't drafted, I was a free agent. To me, in my mind, it's like I had an opportunity to do what 99% of the other athletes who's doing this sport not able to do it. So in my mind, I'm like, shoot, man, I'm just gonna take advantage of it. And then when I get to camp and I see 21 guys on each side of LB, I'm like, God, dog, like, okay. Now I got to compete down. I mean, I'm not worried about the competition. I'm just, because I know me. But, you look at the opportunity. We talk about luck, right? Luck, opportunity, all of that, right? So when you're playing and you got all of these guys that's in front of you, you're like, okay, well, what school are you from? So everybody talking about what school they're from and, what team they played for last year, NFL team they played for. And you're like, okay, well, shoot, I got to compete with all of these guys. So now, not only that, you got to learn plays, you can't make mistakes. You got to hit the weight room hard. You're an undrafted free agent. Some of these guys are drafted, and you competing with those litter of guys that were 5-star, 4-star that was making, $1 million, $3-4 million a year, So, and in my head, I said, I'm gonna go here and just do what I can. And, whatever the outcome is, the outcome it is. You know, I can't force it if I get cut. I'm just going to try to prevent that portion by my work ethic.
Okay. Well, it's like I said, and I think that's the part there. I think a lot of kids they don't have this. They have the XFL and UFL and all those things right now. Where, okay, well, I get cut, I can still go play some ball there. In your day, they had NFL Europe.
Yeah.
So tell for the youngsters who may be listening. Tell them about what NFL Europe was and what that process was like of going over there.
Okay. Oh, NFL Europe was basically a development league where the NFL sends some of their players that they feel that has potential to be, you know, part of the team, but not for sure because where they at athletically or maybe, you know, physically not big enough or not strong enough. So what they do, they send us over to Europe so that we can go over there and basically see what we can do while we're playing over there. Even though, you know, they may have a 3-4 defense and there may be a 4-3 defense when you get there. I think it's just more about, you know, let's see what kind of dog we got before we say okay to them, you know. So overall, when I was over in Europe, it was like, okay, I was a first pick. I want to say I was a first or second pick over there. I think my boy Terrell Washington was right after me. So we got this inside joke about I was over there first. I was much better than he was. So, you know, but you know, it's an inside joke. That's my guy though. That's my boy.
So who'd you get drafted by over there?
I got drafted by Amsterdam Admirals.
So what was it like? And obviously you the kids, living the kids. You heard Amsterdam. I don't want y'all thinking that's why. Tell me about living in Amsterdam.
Man, Amsterdam was really cool. It was different. You know, you got the canal, you got all of these, you got the red light district, you got a lot of different things that's going on over there that, yeah, you could easily get sucked into, you know, a trap. But, you know, if you stay focused and, you know, you do your thing and you play ball, you're still going to have that time to go out and enjoy and see different things. You know, like I got on a fast train and took trips to, you know, Paris, London, places like that my teammates didn't even know. I'm on a train. I'm just going like 4 hours and come back. As long as I make my time for his practice, I'm good. So I got opportunity to travel in Barcelona, you know, Scotland. So, man, Dusseldorf, Germany, Berlin.
What took you around the world?
So football, man, it's like, if it doesn't matter. Like I tell a lot of kids, yeah, it's cool if you make a ton of money, but if you still get the opportunity to travel the world doing something that you love, man, it's not wrong with that either. So it's a lot of inner city kids that don't even get an opportunity to leave out their community, man.
I know kids ain't never left the state.
Yeah.
You know, no road trips, none of that stuff, man. So
yeah, unfortunately, that's bad. But, you know, I was able to do that just playing a sport that I love.
Well, like I said, like I think that we gonna end it there,
okay,
for the day. But we're gonna finish this obviously one last rep.
Okay.
So obviously we talked about your stint in the NFL. We talked about training. We talked about those Big Ten championship, but not going to the Rose Bowl, which is still stupid. So who was during that time? Who was the toughest offensive lineman that you faced during that time? That you
Michigan offensive lineman. I want to say I think it was Hutchinson or I think Hutchinson played guard or something like that.
Okay, yeah.
It was one of the. I mean, he was a big guy. Like I remember one time, I think they had
that's the Hutchinson.
The Detroit Lions, the DN. Yeah, that's their dad. Yeah. I remember one time I did a stunt inside. Man, I ran into him and he locked his arms out on me, and I couldn't. And I'm strong. I was benching like 395, 400, right? So I'm putting pressure on him. I couldn't even move him. I couldn't break his arms down. I'm like, God, dog, this dude is a whole different level of corn-fed, you know?
That wasn't corn-fed. He weights.
No, but man, you know, the experience, like the Michigan line was probably the best line I ever played against, you know. And then you know, when you play in the Big Ten, you know, you go into pros. Now you're going to see good offensive linemen in the league, but I think Michigan was overall they had the best line. Besides, you know, I must always say my Illinois, my boy Tony Pashos and all of them was solid. You know, I would never discredit them because we lost to Michigan, but for us a challenge for me, I would say the Michigan line was probably the hardest line I ever went against.
I probably take a lot out of you to say that you just got locked up like this, man.
Bro, you know that too. You know I'm not gonna sit here and say on air, you know, like, yeah, Michigan is like, and for your conversation, for your question is like, okay, dang, yeah, Michigan was, you know, yeah.
And as much as I grew with Michigan,
I still ball though. I still ball, bro.
I just saying that, you know, he locked you out and you couldn't get the house.
I was just fighting. I was like,
Y'all here breakdancing. Anyway, man, so that's going to be it for today, man. So for Terrell, I'm Anthony. I just want to let y'all know, man, your grind, just find your legacy, making it worth remembering. We out.
Peace.
Catastrophe.